another one. I'm doing two today, just so I can kind of catch up since I didn't get to do one Saturday and Sunday. We're doing it again. All right, second episode. We're covering another Roger Moore. We're doing Octopussy, 1983. That's not just a vulgar word, that is the actual name of this movie. Not only is it the actual name of the movie, it's the name of the title, Bond Girl. Whoa. So, this is 2 hours and 10 minutes. It starts out like a steamroller, very cool, and then gets corny really quick. So, I'm finding out that the Roger Moore movies are just giant cornballs of movies. And all of them are getting the same rating, which is funny. John Glenn, his second. Roger Moore, his sixth at 55 years old. Woo! Bond Girls, Octopussy, Magda, Bianca, which is there not there very long. You have your villains in Khan, or Kamala Khan, if you will. I think it's actually Kamal Khan. General Orloff, and we get weird cars. Your very polarizing theme song, All Time High by Rita Coolidge. I'm going to jump right into this. I mentioned earlier that Roger Moore was 55 when he did this movie. Wow. And this is a testament to his age. During production, he started having chest pains, and production was put on hold because they thought he was having a heart attack. They thought he was having heart issues. Turned out to be misdiagnosed, but the Maud Adams' boyfriend at the time was a doctor, and he called over and checked on Roger Moore, and he was okay. So it's a scary moment, but it did happen, and it's just a testament to his age in this movie. This movie's kind of important because at the exact same time that this movie was going on, we had another Bond film being filmed at the exact same time, only this Bond film wasn't a Eon Productions. This wasn't an Albert Broccoli film. This was an all new thing. I mentioned him in the last one, Kevin McClory. He was the owner of Thunderball, the owner of Blowfield, the owner of Spectre. He owned all these things, and he was going to make a movie. He made Never Say Never Again, which was basically a remake. It was a loose remake of Thunderball. So it's a very strange little happenings going on right here. We're gonna jump right into the opening with Bond infiltrating what seems to be a military outlet, but it's really not. It's actually a horse track. There just happens to be a lot of military there. He's being helped out by Bond girl Bianca, very beautiful woman. She's just kind of driving him around, helping him out a little bit. And this is Bond again. Now, James Brolin was supposed to play James Bond in here. They asked him to do it. He said yes, they were ready. He even moved out to London with his wife at the time. Well, Barbra Streisand moved out with his family. He was in London, and the problem was they found out that Kevin McClory was doing, Never Say Never Again. So they were like, oh man, well, that's okay. We'll keep going with Brolin. And then they said, actually, they got Sean Connery. It's like, oh, they got Sean Connery to come back to play Bond. Crap, we have to get Roger Moore. And called up Roger Moore. Roger Moore agreed to do it. And now, this isn't a rivalry between Roger Moore and Sean Connery. Roger Moore and Sean Connery are actually close friends. They were then. Both of them have since passed away, but they were friends this whole time. So this wasn't some kind of rivalry. This was a rivalry between production companies. And Sean Connery's like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and then Roger Moore's like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And the thing was, Sean Connery chose to do it for basically like a middle finger to the production company because he was having such issues with them. And so he was like, it's kind of it's another thing. It's a messy situation. And the next episode, I'll be reviewing Never Say Never Again because I feel like while it isn't canon, it isn't a Bond film officially. I think it's important because it is a part of the history of Bond. like Octopussy wouldn't be what the movie it was now if that movie hadn't been made. So I'm going to be doing it. That's the next episode. But anyway, we get in here and we Bond basically is trying to figure something out, but he actually gets captured. And there's a moment when he is on the on a little military truck. He's just kind of sitting back there, and then Bianca drives up and is kind of flirting with the guys in the back of the truck. She's like, yeah, she's like hiking up her skirt, like she's looking real good and everything. And Bond's just like, hey, check her out, And they're like, whoa, and he pulls their cords and their chutes open and they fly away. And when that happened, I'm like, why the crap are they wearing chutes? They're on the ground. Yeah, there was a hangar and stuff, but are these guys like could jump on a plane at any minute? Like, what the heck's going on? Why are they wearing chutes? But he pops them open, poosh, they go away, and he's kind of fighting his way back, and he jumps into the car with Bianca, and then Bianca lets go. She's carrying a horse trailer. She lets go of the horse trailer. He gets in the horse trailer, and he pops out of the horse trailer with a portable plane. The wings open. He flies off. Cool plane. I dig it. I dig it. So he's flying this plane. It's really cool because it's fast, and they shoot a homing missile at him, and it's like following him around, and he's like dodging it. And finally, the whole point, this whole time, he's trying to blow up a weapon. That's why he infiltrated the horse track. He has some C4. He's gonna blow it up. They capture him, stuff like that, and he's getting his second chance here because they catch him. They take down the bomb, and he flies through the hangar where the bomb is. The homing missile goes with him. He flies out of the homing missile. Boom. It's really cool. Now it's not. It didn't actually happen. They didn't actually fly this plane through the hangar. That's way too dangerous. They actually used kind of like angles and stuff and forced angles through there, and they actually showed it in kind of a miniature way, stuff like that. But it was really cool. And a lot of the times whenever they do stuff like this in a Bond film, especially in the older ones, it kind of looks cheesy. This one looked really cool. I.e. Goldfinger. When they lift Goldfinger up and he gets sucked through the window, it looked really fake. But this looked really cool. The last one, For Your Eyes Only, when they're underwater, you can tell they're not actually underwater. They're like that, and you can tell they're in a freaking window and there's no water around them. But this one looked really cool. I loved it. And then the title happens and completely ruins it. It's a nude lady. That's cool. But there's like lasers on her, like projecting 007 and the producer's name, the actor's names, they're projecting that on her. And then there's like that 70s show jumping again. But in the background, you've got, like I said, it's a polarizing song. Some people hate it, some people love it. I'm on the hate it side because it's another sappy love song. I can understand the sappy love song. We Have All the Time in the World, Louis Armstrong from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Very sappy love song, but it went with the movie. Bond falls in love and gets married in that movie. In this, he's not in love with Octopussy. Why is there a love song? It's just, and it feels like another pop intro, and I'm like, nah, no thank you. Not for me. I didn't like this. The title, no thanks. So we'll scooch that over like a cat, just bat it off the table. And let's go straight into the movie. I like it because the movie's good. It starts out, the movie actually starts, not our opening, but the movie actually starts out with a clown. He's running and he's terrified of something. There's two twins with knives chasing him, and I'm sitting there like immediately, because I haven't seen this movie in a really long time. I just remember not liking it because I hated the whole clown thing. And at first I thought this was Bond, and I'm like, wait, I don't remember him being in the opening. It's not, because this clown's running, and these freaking, I guess they're carnies, are like throwing knives at him. They're slicing him, they're stabbing him, they're just shanking him away. They're like stabbing him and stuff, and he finally gets free, falls into the river. They think he's dead. He crashes through this rich people's party, and he falls, and a Fabergé egg falls out. And they're like, oh, and that's our opening. It's like he was running, taking this Fabergé egg. That's it. We don't know what's going on, and it's fine, because this is one of those, the Bond movies always open up with a mystery, and the plot usually reveals itself about 20 minutes in you get what's going on, like, and it's not even 20 minutes, it's more like 10 minutes. You get 10 minutes in and we reveal the main plot of the story. You don't know the details of the story, you just know something's going on, and then you get the big details at the end, except for like the last movie where you don't get any plot at all. You get we're gonna go kill these people because they killed her family. But what does that have to do with British intelligence? This Fabergé egg, we find out pretty quickly what this Fabergé egg is. So we're in here and we go. The Fabergé egg is given to British intelligence. They bring Bond in. Do you know what this is, Bond? He describes it exactly. It's a Fabergé egg. Blah blah blah. He's like, yeah, but it's fake. Here's a little tidbit about the movie. That Fabergé egg was not fake. It was actually real. It was tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's worth a lot of money. And they're like, oh, it's fake, But it wasn't. Very cool. We meet Moneypenny and her new assistant, her beautiful new assistant. She's awesome. We have a little bit of not so great reaction between Bond and Moneypenny. It's the chemistry's just not there between Moneypenny and Roger Moore. Roger Moore and her just don't click. Sean Connery and her clicked really well. It was really nice. But we found out that this clown that was murdered was actually 009. Whoa, they killed a British Secret Service agent. Oh man, British intelligence just got murdered here. Cool. So Bond's going to have to take his place. 007, you're going to go have to take 009's place. You're going to have to figure out what's going on. And they're finding these fake jewelry. It's like, okay, someone is selling fake, it's like fake jewelry, fake diamonds, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars worth of fake jewelry. And they're selling it on like auctions and stuff. It's like, okay, which is, it's a form of terrorism, which is cool. So we're back on track with world dominance here through jewelry. 16 minutes in, we meet General Orlov. General Orlov is an absolute warlord. He proceeds to talk about Russia and how he owns this part of Russia. He has a little map. He's like, I own this part of Russia, but if I infiltrate here and here and here, I can dominate this country in 5 days. And they're like, why would you do that? Like his general, like his not his general, but his leader is like, no, you can't do that because, and which is actually the guy at the end of For Your Eyes Only that was going to buy the weapon, it's actually him, and he's like, no, you can't do that because the UN, NORAD, all of them would retaliate with atomic weapons. He's like, no, they won't do that. But this guy is an absolute warlord. They shut him down. It's like, no, you can't do that. We skip forward to 22 minutes in, and we meet the big bad, Kamal Khan. Kamal Khan. He is, I'll go ahead, it's going to be kind of a spoiler, but he is not exactly a world dominance type guy. He is fueled by pure greed. He wants money. That's his whole thing. And go ahead and spoil it. He actually is working with General Orlov. If he helps General Orlov get what he wants, like, hey, you get world dominance, I get money. We trade off. So he's going to work together with General Orlov. We don't find that out till much later, but it helps to know that now, so I can explain. He's also with one of the Bond girls, cool Bond girl, Magda, very beautiful woman, and this actress that plays Magda is Christina Wayborn. Now, the one who played Bianca is Tina Hudson, but she's already out of film. She's not in the film anymore. Christina Wayborn is a badass. She did all her own stunts. That's awesome. There's a point in this movie where a dude has a bazooka and she kicks it out of his hand, and it was supposed to be replaced with a plastic bazooka, but they forgot to replace it, and they were holding a metal bazooka, and she kicked it, broke her toes, and continued on with the scene. Someone else did that too in Lord of the Rings. Look it up. Everyone should know what happened. Come on now. So we get down to this, and we find out that we need to go to India. Bond goes to India, and in all these movies, he meets up with his helpers because they have like a code or something like that. And this code for the Indian is he's charming a snake with his flute, and the song he's playing is the James Bond theme. And the snake's going crazy, and Bond's like, "Oh, hey, yeah, he's with me." He's like, "That's a cool tune you're playing there." So he gets in there, and that's how we find all these. That's where he finds his helpers for the movie. They're going to drive him around, and there is one point where the guy that was playing the song is getting out of the car, and Bond hands him his flute, and he's like, "Yeah, this is just in case you want to play with your asp." An asp is a snake, but he was making a dirty joke. "You want to play with your asp?" Anyway, I thought it was funny. It made me laugh. So, little quips like that I'm okay with. I just don't like it when they make the action cheesy or he has cheesy things happening. But we get a point where Bond is going to play our bad guy, Khan, in a game of backgammon. And of course, there has to be at some point where Bond plays the bad guy in some kind of game. Usually it's a card game. And he never loses. Bond never loses. He lost one time, and it was to a Bond girl. But he is playing backgammon. He finds out the dude has loaded dice, and Bond's like, "Oh, well, you have to have double sixes to win." And Bond's like, "Oh, then I'm going to take my privilege and use your dice." Double sixes, and he wins. And he bet the Fabergé egg, but instead he won dough. He won like 20,000 or something like that. It was crazy. So he actually cheated the boss, and that doesn't happen much. So he did it. We go on, but he's actually the bad guy's like, "Yeah, well, you're gonna kill that guy because he just cheated me out of money." And we get not a long. It's like a good car chase scene, except he's in this. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I think it's Bahaj Re. It's a rickshaw. It's a freaking rickshaw, and it's motorized. It can do wheelies and stuff, and it's like super fast and cool. And they have a whole thing where Bond's sitting in the back fighting dudes. He has fights on these guys. And he gets stabbed at one point, but he turns out to stab him in the money he just won. He's like, "Oh, good thing for hard cash," and just throws it away. But he gets stabbed, and the dude's like fighting people off with a tennis racket, and it's kind of cheesy, but at the same time, it's kind of cool. I didn't mind this one as much. It gets cheesy though. Like whenever he gets off this thing and he's kind of right after they jump a camel, they have a ramp and they jump it and they jump over a camel and the camel's like, "Whoa." It's like he jumps the camel. That was kind of weird. So I guess instead of jumping sharks, they jump camels. So he gets out, and then there's a point where he's fighting a guy. He runs through this little alleyway, and he meets like a guy sleeping on a bed of nails, a snake charmer, this guy, and he's like taking their weapons and using them like a sword swallower. And he's like, "Oh, well, so we'll take that too." But the bed of nails is what got me. I wrote it down because there's a point where he's fighting the dude, and then he throws the guy on the bed of nails. For whatever reason, they had a close-up of the guy hitting the nails. And I'm baffled as to why they used this shot, but they did. And he hits the nails, and the nails are rubber. Clearly, they just bend. And the guy lands on them, and they bend. And when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, okay, so the guy who was laying on them was tricking the crowd into thinking he was laying on nails, but he was really laying on rubber." No, because the very next scene, they show a close-up of the guy on the bed of nails. The nails are straight, and they're penetrating him. And it's like, then why did you show the shot of the guy landing on the nails and then bending? Like, they were clearly rubber. Like, it bugged the ever-living crap out of me and almost took a point off immediately. Like, it was like, well, if this was a 9, now it's an 8. Because this is not where it's at. We go to Q, who's showing him off some new gadgets. He shows him a cool little acid pen. You turn it and it spits acid out the side. He has another one where you take the top off of it and you listen, and you put the in and you can listen in because he has the Fabergé egg and he puts a tracker on it. Yeah, he put the tracker on the egg and he can track it with his watch. It has a little GPS system in it. Cool stuff. There's a rope that goes straight up, and the guy climbs on it, and then the rope grows instead of the guy having to climb it, but he gets about halfway up and it breaks, And Bond says, having trouble keeping it up. Another funny little thing. It's all right. Because he likes to razz Q, you know, and but he gets in there, and eventually we meet up with Magda, and he's learning that Magda's not so bad. And then him and Magda has bond time. They do things under covers. It's kind of, they sex, you know, nice. Anyway, but she gets up, and this is where we find out that she's actually kind of a bad guy. She gets up, and I mean, he wants her to steal the Fabergé egg. That's the thing. He wants her to steal the Fabergé egg. She gets up. She has the Fabergé egg. She's like, "Oh, here it is. Here's the Fabergé egg." And he wakes up, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And she hides it behind her back. The thing is, there's a mirror right behind her, and the camera is even showing the mirror and her, and he's looking right at the Fabergé egg. And I'm like, if this girl's some kind of super spy, then why is she? Because even when he turns her around, she's like, ooh, ooh, you know, he's hiding it from him. But if she's some kind of super spy, she probably should have noticed there was a mirror there, especially considering she was looking in it 5 seconds earlier. Another point where I'm like, okay. But she kind of saves it because she's like, okay, well, it's peace, Bond. And she jumps out the window and uses her dress. She like wraps it around her, and she slowly unravels it to the ground to land safely. And Christina Wayburn, the woman who actually plays Magda, did this stunt herself. Awesome. Good on you. It's filmed in 2 places, though. She jumps out in one place, and then she lands on her feet in India. In real life, not in the movie. In the movie, she's in the same place. But it's like, okay, so good on you, girl. I love it whenever actors do their own stunts. That's a big thing for me. That's why, like, I'm not a huge fan of Tom Cruise, but Tom Cruise does his own stunts in Mission Impossible, and that's awesome. But she did her own stunts, and that's cool. And about 49 minutes in, we finally see Octopussy, but we never see her face. All we know is she is the boss. She's the leader of some kind. Because guys are kind of like, oh, yeah. We find out that she's not actually the boss. She's just working with someone. It's just she's dangerous, so they don't want to get on her bad side, which is okay. But we do meet her. And, okay, then we go to a point where Bond is sort of captured, and he is having dinner with Khan. And they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna enjoy what we have. He actually gets after Magda and him do the deed. He watches her leave, and he's like, all right. And he's gonna start following the Fabergé egg, but the henchman comes in, knocks him out with a judo chop, and brings him to Magda, which he didn't even have to follow. He brought him to the bad guy's lair, which in itself kind of was like, what? Why would okay, because he's gonna kill him. Okay, cool, but why would you do that? Anyway. They're having dinner, and I'm watching this scene, and I'm wondering something. This is 1983. It was filmed in 1982. A movie came out a year later. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom came out in 1984. It was filmed in 1983. I'm wondering, because there's a point where they're eating dinner, and he's like, okay, what are you having? He pulls off the lid off the plate, and it's a boiled sheep's head with eyes in it. Oh, it's really gross looking. And the Khan eats the eyeball. He's like, yeah, you know, and it's like, okay. And I'm wondering if Steven Spielberg didn't see this and say, like, that would be a really good scene for Temple of Doom, because there's a point in Temple of Doom where they're all eating dinner, and they're like eating frozen monkey brains and eyeball soup and stuff like that, and it's really gross. And the way they pull off the top and you see the grossness happens just like in Temple of Doom. So I'm wondering, I don't know, I looked it up, I couldn't find it. Maybe Steven Spielberg was like, you know what, that's a good idea. I think I'm going to steal that. And it wouldn't be outside of possibility, because Steven Spielberg is really close with Albert Broccoli, and Albert Broccoli takes some stuff from Steven Spielberg all the time. And that's, you know, pretty cool, you know, that they have that kind of relationship. I like it. But yeah, it's really gross, though, the way it happens. So it's like, it's very Indiana Jones-esque. After that, they put him in his cell, and he gets to use the acid pen. He opens it up, you know, which is cool. He uses it, and he escapes the bars, And this is one of those where I don't really mind it so much, because uh, I don't mind it in the middle of the movie. I just don't like it when he uses a gadget to escape every time he gets in trouble. It's like I hate that. Like it's like come on, man, use your spy. He's supposed to be the greatest spy in the world. Use that. Um, but later on, excuse me, that's in my throat. We're going that he escapes, and he's like chasing down the egg. He escapes from the thing, goes back in, and he's like, okay. And he has the pen with the thing in it, so he can listen, and he hears what they're talking about with Fabergé egg, and it turns out that they're faking everything, and this is how they're making money. I explained it earlier, and but he has to hide in a closet, and he sees like the dead twins that I thought were the dead twins from the beginning. Apparently they weren't because they show up later in the movie, but there's dead people in there. There was a scene earlier when the guy's like, "You failed me and you will pay," and I think it was these guys. So, but then Bond has to escape, and he's running on foot, and this right here is where the movie goes. It started out up here, kind of went down to here, and now it's going to go, because I mean, it made me literally like it was completely involuntary. It made me roll my eyes. I just went, oh God, it was so bad because he's running away, and it's. I'll go back before I tell you this. People who are watching, most people hated Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And every time I say, well, what do you hate about that movie? Because I mean, I wasn't fond of it. You get two answers. One, you get the atomic bomb in the refrigerator thing. Don't worry about that right now. But the second one is Shia LaBeouf swinging through the trees with monkeys. People were like, I hated that scene. It was so stupid. And Bond does this. There's a point where he's running away and he's swinging through the trees on vines. It gets worse, and he's doing the Tarzan howl. And I'm like, it happened on my screen, and I immediately, completely involuntarily just went, oh, God. Like, it's so bad. This knocked this movie down so far. Like, this movie was sitting at a steady 8.5, and this thing knocked it down to a 7. Like, that one scene just made me go, F this movie. Like, it was so bad. I hated it so much. But anyway, he has to go back and infiltrate Octopussy's lair now, because he finds out about Octopussy, and he infiltrates her lair by hiding in a fake crocodile, which I liked. Fake crocodile right there. I actually liked that. That's something that's cool because it looked like a crocodile. And he's like, oh, because that's something he would do. That's a spy thing. Cool. And then we finally see Octopussy. Boom. Why, she looks familiar. She looks familiar because she is Maud Adams, and she played the Man with the Golden Gun's mistress in The Man with the Golden Gun. It's not the same girl. It's a completely different character. He's just playing a different person, and it's Maud Adams. And it was the reason why Maud Adams is here is because we was supposed to be Faye Dunaway, but she was too expensive, so they couldn't afford her. They were like, okay, well, Faye Dunaway, we need someone here, and I know, Barbara Carrera. Well, Barbara Carrera turned them down so she could be in Never Say Never Again with Sean Connery, because she would rather be in a movie with Sean Connery. So they lost her to the competition. So they're like, well, who do we get? Maud Adams was really good. So they're like, yeah, but she played another role. Doesn't matter. Let's bring her back. Maud Adams went from being Bond girl to a different Bond girl. And to me, that loses a little bit of credibility, but it's okay because Maud Adams is really cool. And eventually you run out. Like Law and Order SVU, they reuse actors all the time, man. The girl who played the assistant director was a victim in one of the earlier episodes. So it's not uncommon. There's only so many people in the world. There's only so many actors in the world. And in 1983, this was probably the best they could do, and that's fine. I understand that. It's cool. But Octo and Bond kind of they get it on because that's what Bond does, and it's all good. But while this is going on, Bond's buddy gets murdered because they put a hit out on Bond, but don't harm the girl. That's actually part of it. And this dude has a yo-yo made of a freaking buzzsaw, and it's like like that. And this dude gets it. The buddy, he's dead. Well, he actually is dead because Q says he's alive when I found him. So I'm like, man, that would be a horrible way to die. So, but it happened. They killed him. And then there's an assassination attempt on Bond, but he wakes up just enough time to see the buzzsaw coming down. He moves Octo, and gets her. And he's just tearing up the place. Boom, he's killing people left and right. She's helping, she's killing some folks too. And then he jumps out the window with one of the bad guys. They're fighting in the water, and a crocodile comes and eats him. And Bond disappears, and Octo's just like, oh no, Bond is dead. It turns out that the crocodile's fake. Bond got away with the crocodile, and where he meets up with Q. Now we're already in Act 3. This is Act 3. We're done. Act 3 is very long in this movie because we go to the circus, and yeah, we're going to the circus. This is because Act 3 takes place in several different places. It takes place in a circus. Then we leave the circus, and we're basically back in the circus. So it's very cool. Circus, and this is where we get the meat and the potatoes. The meat with our vegetables. Our vegetables being the Fabergé egg and the fake jewelry, because we think, oh, we're going to stop a heist. No. This guy, our con, wants the money. I want money. Octopussy. I want money. But we need help to get this. We need something to transport these fake things and switch them out. Who's going to do this? Let's call on General Orlov. General Orlov, he's like, okay, but only if you let me use this circus train to plant a bomb in the U.S. Air Force. Okay. Why? And Bond finds out. It's like, okay, here's things like, well, Bond's like, you set off an atomic bomb on a U.S. Air Force, and U.S. forces are going to bomb you. They're going to atomic bomb you. And he's like, how do they know it's me? It didn't come through the air, so it can't be from Russia. Well, who did it? And Bond's like, because they're going to think it was an accident. And if they think it was an accident, then they're going to have all the people in the UN shut off all their nukes and close down their nuclear programs just so to avoid these accidents, leaving them vulnerable for a Russian attack. So he's going to get what he wants. He's going to invade and take over the world. He wants power. These guys want money. He wants power. There's your meat and potatoes. Take over the world. Greed. And I like this plot. Even though it's reused several times in this series, I like it. It is awesome. That's how we get and then so we get another kind of a car chase, if you will, and with the Alfa Romero, beautiful, and it loses its wheels, and it's like going on the tracks. It's like it loses its wheels. It doesn't have tires, but the tires are on the tracks, and it's like a train. It's kind of a cool little concept. He gets onto the train, and he has to put on this gorilla suit to hide. He actually gets caught on that. And the thing is, the train takes off, and Orlov ain't with him, so he's running down. He's trying to catch the train, and he gets shot dead. Orlov gets killed by his own people because they find out, they think that he's just a part of a plot to steal jewelry. And they're like, "Oh, you're a common thief, and you're not worthy of Russia." And he's like, "Yeah, but in a few days, I'm gonna be a hero in Russia." But they don't know about the bomb yet. And they're like, "Okay," and he dies. So happens. So Bond has to escape. He actually escapes through the top of the train, and there's a moment here where he actually goes to the top of the train and goes to the side of the train, and the stuntman who did this stunt, he's holding onto the side of the train while the pylons are coming through. He was actually hit by one of those pylons, and it shattered his leg and hip, and he was in the hospital for months. So dangerous stuff going on here, buddy. We get another car chase. He's going all around the place, and then we go back to the circus, and Another one where Bond dresses as a clown. This is what I remember hating about this film: is Bond dresses as a clown. Cool that he's dressing as a clown to infiltrate. I get that, but he could have dressed up as like a knife thrower, killed one of the twins dressed up like him, something like that. But he finds Khan and Octo, and they're sitting there together, and he's in Octo. He's like, there is, or he finds Octo, and Khan's already, he's gone. Octo is sitting there with one of the generals, and the general's like, what are you talking about? He's like, there's a bomb in here, and he's like, Octo, it is me, it's James Bond, please tell them who I am, so they'll believe me. No one believes him, they're running around. He finally gets a gun and shoots at where the bomb is. It opens up, and they all see the bomb, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. He finally gets it, disarms the bomb, and I remember hating it because it's like, all he does is, and it's done. There's no like, which wire do I cut? Nothing like that. It's just, takes the canister out and it's over. Like, okay. But that's not where it ends. We get one, every one of these has to have this scene of weirdness, of like a big battle. And this one's cool because it's carny chicks versus henchmen. And it's a big, there's like ninjas and stuff, like not like ninja action, flippy stuff. Cool. I dug it. It's awesome. Bond is all pew pew, and he saves Octo because they take Octo, and she's all like, I can't believe you were going to leave me to die, and stuff like that. It's like, oh, he pew pew saves Octo, and then they're going to be like, no, we're taking her with us, and they get a plane, we're on a plane ride, and he's like riding a horse, jumps on the plane, and he's like, no, man. Oh man, it's crazy. And then one of the main henchmen, he's like, they're like way up in the air, and he's like, hey, you need to go get Bond off the top of this plane. And the guy's like out there? Like, yeah, go get him. And they got there, and they're kind of like, whoa, and Bond takes the antenna of the plane, he like wrenches it back and slaps the dude in the face, and he's like, whoa, he's dead. The plane lands, but the plane, like right before the plane's landing, it's about to hit off a cliff, and he grabs Octo and jumps out of the plane, and the plane just boom, and that's the end of that bad guy. Khan's dead. And then the movie ends with James and Octo kind of doing their thing. This is it's up there with the rest of these Roger Moore movies. They're kind of corny. It was kind of meh. And this one, especially the Tarzan thing, holy crap! I hope John Glenn regrets doing that, because man, that was horrible. But I gave it once again, and I think this is the third movie in a row, but I gave it 7.10, 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Yeah, I gave it the same amount as the rest. Body count 15, love count 2. But it was eh. It was eh. 2 hours and 10 minutes of eh. So I can't say it was one of the greatest, but it's a Roger Moore. But that's almost it, man. Next up, Never Say Never Again, 1983. We're gonna do the same one. Irvin, how do you say that? Irvin Kershner. We have Sean Connery. Let's see, Fatima Domino's coming back, played by Kim Basinger in this one. Basinger. I don't know how to say her last name. Fatima Blush is here. We have Largo coming back again. Yeah, and it's kind of like a modernish Bond. So Never Say Never Again's next, y'all. But that's next time. I don't know. This episode feels a little short, but that's okay. Really, this movie doesn't deserve that much time. I mean, it's definitely not the worst, definitely not the best, but Roger Moore is the best Bond in the worst movies. Like, he's a good Bond. He's nowhere. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. He's nowhere near Sean Connery. But it's. And I know some people are gonna hate me for that, but he's just nowhere near Sean Connery. He's not as smooth as Sean Connery. He's not as charismatic as Sean Connery, and he's not as believable as Sean Connery. I think Sean Connery could kick someone's butt. I don't think Roger Moore could. Roger Moore, none of his moves are believable. He's very stiff. So I guess that's why he has to rely on the gadgets so much. Sean Connery didn't have that problem. So, but we'll find out, because Sean Connery, at the tender age of 53, never say never again. Still younger than Roger Moore. But join me for that one. Thank you for watching.